At the age of 18, you graduated from high school and failed to enter the university your parents hoped for. You said goodbye to the campus and went to work in a factory. Half a year later, you began to regret not listening to your parents to study harder. At the age of 22, you no longer wanted to repeat the assembly line work every day, so you quit and became a salesman. At your age of 26, everyone got married except you. You claimed you feared marriage. However, in your deep heart, you were more afraid of being alone. Although you met a dozen girls, none could compete with her. When you were 27, your parents started to set you up on blind dates. At the age of 28, you finally met a girl you could talk to a lot. Yet, it was not the feeling of being touched. Your mom asked whether you liked her. You hesitated and said yes. 3 months later, when you were still unsure whether she was the right girl, you were already engaged under the pressure of your parents. When you were 29 years old, you finally got married. It was an ordinary ceremony, just like anyone else. The wedding did not make you experience legendary happiness. You felt tired and numb while receiving relatives and friends' congratulations. At that moment, you suddenly realized that your parents were getting old. The master of the ceremony jokingly suggested you kiss your new wife. You did kiss her hesitantly and then whispered, "I love you." The bride gave a little start and replied, "I love you too." You were not sure whether she said it sincerely, just as you were sure whether you meant it. When she was 30, she got pregnant and quit her job for child custody at home. At the same time, your career was getting better because of your outstanding ability. Every time you had to be in social intercourse with clients, she complained and cried that you spent too little time with her. You could not argue. She would have your baby soon. At the age of 31, your little boy was born. It cost a total of $12,000 from pregnancy examination to his birth. But it was okay. You loved him so much, and it's worth it. You felt that you had spent the first half of your life waiting for this moment. You knew you would have more responsibility for the rest of your life. The year when you were 32 was the last year you wanted to experience again in your life. You could only sleep 3 hours a day maximum. Even if you fell asleep, you would wake up at any minute once the infant woke up. As a consequence, you were sleepy at work. Your boss blamed your shoddy work while your wife accused your laziness. You chose to stay in the car after work, lighting a cigarette, although you would not smoke. You enjoyed your alone time. When you were 35, your wife planned to send your son to a bilingual kindergarten, which would request $800 per month. You hesitated for a second. She got impatient and said she did not want her son to lose at the starting line. The exclusive private school the kid next door attended was $1,500 a month. You said nothing but transferred $4,000 to your wife. It should have been the money to replace the old couch for your parents. At 38, your health worsened, and you could no longer go out drinking and socializing. As a result, your business was taken over by new employees. You were stressed but afraid to tell your wife. When you were 44, your child was in junior high school. One day, he said, "Dad, I want to learn the piano." You opened your mouth but could not tell him that you could not afford it. Fortunately, the young boy was very sensible. He said, "Dad, it's okay. I'd better learn the clarinet for now." You looked at your son, and you felt so bad. At your age of 46, your son got a bad grade in the high school entrance exam. It would cost $10,000 to send him to a key senior high school. You pondered it for a whole night, but finally decided not to be in debt. He had to go to a general high school. At your age of 50, your son was admitted to the first batch of the university. You were impressed and felt this child was more promising than you. At the age of 52, you knew nothing about your son's major, but you knew that the job might be hard to find. You planned to talk with him that late night. You prepared a bottle of white wine and a dish of peanuts. You said the things you used to hate the most. You persuaded him to get realistic and put real life before dreams. You two went from casual talk to arguing. You realized you were old and unable to beat this young man who was taller than you. All you could say was, "I'm your dad, and it's all for your good." The child looked at you, and you knew there was no use in arguing. The drinking ended unhappily. He said he didn't want to live a life like you. Why were you crying? You were more than 50. You blamed it on the spicy wine. When you were 55 years old, your son started to work. He seemed to understand you more. Yet, you began to persuade him not to compromise with life. At your age of 56, the child got married. You asked him whether he liked his new wife. The young man blanked for a while and said, yes. At the age of 60, you were retired and looked after your grandson at home. Every time you looked at the lovely little boy, it was like you went back 30 years ago. At the age of 65, you were still not sure whether you had ever loved your wife or not. After all these years, there were still quarrels between you two. Yet, for many moments, you thought it was okay. At your age of 70, your grandson was old enough to free your hands. You were determined to travel and see the world, but your crutches could only carry you down to the garden downstairs. At the age of 75, you were lying in a hospital bed surrounded by your family. They were all looking solemn. You saw the doctor shake his head to your son. You knew it was time for you to leave this world. You didn't fear but sighed that you still had many regrets. Your soul stood there, watching your loved one cry into your body. You felt so light right now. You wondered at what time you died. Suddenly, your mind went back to the summer when you were 15. It was your childhood bedroom. Homework was thrown aside while your parents were not home. You were playing video games with your young friends. It seemed like you hadn't talked to these people in a long time, and you even forgot some of their names. It turned out you were so close that summer. A breeze blew.